And I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking this morning, one, because my dog wants to bark because we had lawn mowing today instead of tomorrow. So I apologize for that. But I want to welcome our special guest today. We have Dr. Corinne Mueller, who is the COO for Learning Beyond Paper, and Laura Delgado, the VP of Curriculum and Development for Learning Beyond Paper. They are with us today as our new business affiliates of the NCCA to tell you a little bit about their curriculum and the opportunity to utilize it. And they're going to talk a lot about how curriculum impacts the retention of teachers and families. And we all know that have been in this business a long time, retaining your teachers helps you retain your families. And we are in a time where it has been extremely hard to retain and recruit. And I was intrigued at hearing the presentation to give us a new perspective and a new idea and some new thoughts on how curriculum can help us with this ongoing problem. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Corinne and to Laura. Oh, and by the way, they are giving away some really cool prizes. So so please stay with us, and that'll help you be eligible for some prizes throughout the presentation. So thank you, Corinne and Laura, and the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, Cindy and Storm. We're really excited to be here today. So welcome to Learning Beyond Paper's webinar. As Cindy shared, our topic today focuses on how curriculum impacts the retention of teachers and families. So our agenda today is going to cover the following topics. We're going to do some introductions. We're going to review our community agreement. We're going to talk about what defines curriculum, implementation and usage, identifying some of those curriculum gaps, of course, talk about retention and attrition, and then we have some exciting ways that you can maximize some potential tools, tips, and strategies when it comes to curriculum within your center, and then creating a lasting impact. And then we do have some great prizes in store, so I will tell you a little bit about that before we dive into the agenda. As Cindy said, my name is Dr. Corinne Mueller. I'm the Chief Operating Officer here at Learning Beyond Paper. I've spent the last 20 years in the early education field as a classroom teacher, an executive director, as well as an early educational sales representative. And that's where I help thousands of early learning providers enhance their programs through technology. Learning Beyond Paper is a 100% online curriculum for birth through pre-K4, and it offers you a high-quality curriculum at an affordable price point. So all providers can have access to our curriculum platform. And I'm going to have our lovely Laura Delgado introduce herself next.
Hi, everyone. So happy to be here with all of you. So my name is Laura Delgado. I'm Vice President of Curriculum and Professional Development. And on the screen, you can see a little bit about my background. I am a former preschool owner, director, teacher at all levels. Actually, I've been around early learning my entire life because my mom owned preschools as I was growing up. But I also worked for about 6 years for Florida's Office of Early Learning. So I was able to see policy making at its finest, being at the table, being able to mentor and coach providers in home settings and large centers at school district levels. But my passion is training and professional development, curriculum, coaching, and working with teachers directly.
Great, thanks, Laura.
Our curriculum development team is comprised of former owners, directors. We have people on our team who have been published by NAEYC, who are also trainers for NAEYC at different conferences. We have a former state curriculum review board members, early learning training facilitators, college professors in early learning, and combined we have over 150 years of expertise in curriculum and early learning. So we definitely want to welcome you. We're excited that you're here. If you can, in the chat box, can you please put your name, what state are you in, what position are you in? Are you an owner, a director, a teacher, a curriculum coordinator? What ages do you serve? And then what type of curriculum do you use? So if you could please just take a minute or two and add that to the chat box, because we want to get to know you a little bit better. I know Zoom sometimes seems so impersonal, and we want to definitely engage with you. So if you can add in the chat box your name, what state are you in, what is your role at the center, what ages do you serve, and what type of curriculum do you currently use? Great. And as you're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about community agreements. And I know many of us are familiar with this in face-to-face settings, but also in virtual settings. We want to make sure that we are agreeing on certain things that'll make this meeting and training flow a little bit better. So take a look at your screen and see if these community agreements are in line with what you would like during this training. And also in the chat box, if you want to add anything, please be sure to add if we forgot anything. So here we have, listen to understand, take space, make space. Own your impact, be present, assume good intention. So you might hear someone's opinion, or maybe they do something a little bit differently than the way you do it, or you don't think that is really appropriate. Assume good intentions. Keep that confidentiality. We are discussing different preschools and children and families and situations. Learn or lean into discomfort. They say that when we're uncomfortable, that's kind of where we grow and where we learn. Have an open mind to what you're hearing. A lot of times, I've heard it so many times more in this industry than any other industry, is I've been doing this for 20 years. I know what I'm doing. But as you know, education is something that's fluid, ever changing. So you have to have an open mind. Be open, be curious, and be respectful. I just want to acknowledge the people who are adding things into the chat box. So thank you so much. It looks like we have people from, from Texas and from Florida and Arizona, New Jersey, Michigan.
Right.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you so much. And I see directors and teachers and all types of age groups. So I really, really appreciate you spending the time to enter that into the chat box. So thank you. Keep adding if you haven't added yet, because we definitely want to acknowledge you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, we do have an exciting prize wheel, our virtual prize wheel, that we are going to give you the opportunity to spin today. So make sure that you are listening and maybe taking some notes. At the end of the presentation, Laura is going to ask 4 questions that we go over throughout the presentation. And the first person to submit the responses through the chat box will get the chance to spin our little prize wheel here. So we have $25 gift cards to Lakeshore. We have a 1-month free subscription to Learning Beyond Paper. We have our grand prize, which is a 10-inch tablet with a 1-month free trial to Learning Beyond Paper. So make sure you have your listening ears on. And it looks like through the chat box, I'm seeing a lot of responses. So I know everybody's listening, and we hope that you get the chance to win one of these awesome prizes today. Okay, so a couple of things of why we created Learning Beyond Paper. Laura did a great job of explaining the team, but we really saw throughout all these years that we've been in this industry that we saw a gap, a curriculum equity gap. And we really believe all providers should have access to high quality content at an affordable price point. We also see that teachers need access to teaching tools in real time versus digging through those binders or digging through paper or making photocopying and having more of a fragmented curriculum solution. And lastly, curriculum should include easy access to training and professional development, which is why our curriculum integrates those tools all day through all your teachers' daily activities. They'll have access to those tips and tools in real time. Learning Beyond Paper hit the map in January of this year, and we have traveled to 35 states and 3 countries outside of the US since we launched, so South Korea, Bahamas, and Mexico, and we're continuing to expand our curriculum traveling journey. So we do some fun posts on Facebook as well. Our little mascot is LB, and so we show where he goes every week as we gain new providers, and he explores and ventures out to different areas in the US and outside. And then just to talk a little bit about why Learning Beyond partnered with NCCA and NEPCA, through our early conversations with Storm and Cindy, we realized how much our goals and missions were aligned. And, you know, we really are here to address that equity gap. We want to provide high quality 21st century curriculum to all teachers and all children. We really want to support all early learning providers with tools and training and tips and tricks, professional development to assure sustainable success. And overall, this partnership really gave us both the opportunity to serve you as members to the best of our ability.
Okay, so now we're going to talk about what defines curriculum. Now, if you look at the National Association for the Education of Young Children and how they define curriculum, there are some things that they recommend that parents or providers look for, either reflecting into, you know, in their own program, or if you're a parent going out, what should you be looking for? So curriculum is standard 2 out of their 10 standards. So some of you may be familiar with the standards of NACCE. So I definitely recommend that you look at that because it's a great guide. It's a great, you know, great benchmarks to aspire to. But a couple of things to look for in a program regarding curriculum is ask about the program's curriculum and how it addresses all aspects of child development. So as I'm reading these, think about your own program, your teachers, your curriculum, your program, your families. You know, the curriculum should not focus on just one area of development. Children are given the opportunity to learn and develop through exploration and play. Teachers have the opportunity to work with individual children and in small groups on specific skills. That's an important one because a lot of times we have a lot of programs are still doing a lot of large group instruction, and you know, sometimes that can work, but really the goal is small group instruction for children. Materials and equipment should spark children's interest and encourage them to experiment and learn. Activities are designed to help children get better at reasoning, problem solving, getting along with others, using language, and developing other skills. So that brings me kind of to how children learn using that scientific method, always asking questions and why, and so that is definitely really important to think about when you're reflecting on your curriculum and your program. Infants and toddlers should play with toys and art materials that do something based on actions, such as the Jack-in-the-Box cups that fit inside one another and Play-Doh. So when I want you to consider these questions as we think about curricula. Think about the curriculum that you're using. What are you currently using? These are just questions for you to think about. You don't have to answer in the chat box right now, but are your teachers really using the curriculum to its fullest? Or do you have kits and binders and boxes that are collecting dust somewhere, or up on a shelf somewhere that gets pulled out when licensing walks in or an accreditor walks in? Is the curriculum really being used to the fullest? How much planning time do your teachers get during their shift? So during their actual shift, how much planning time do they get? What are some positives and negatives that you see with your own curriculum that you're using? Are parents or guardians involved with your curriculum? Do they know what curriculum you're actually using? If you were to survey your parents at your school, would they be able to say, oh yeah, they use X, Y, and Z curriculum? There are very educated parents out there that sometimes will call and the first question is, what curriculum do you use? Because they're looking for something specific. And then do families have access to the curriculum? Do they have access to the lesson plans, to the daily activities, to different things that are happening day to day? Now, think about this question. Do your teachers struggle to effectively implement curriculum? Think about your teachers right now. So those of you who are directors, owners, curriculum coordinators, assistant directors, supports, are your teachers struggling to really implement the curriculum effectively?
Or if you are a teacher, are you struggling to implement the curriculum effectively? Because we have some teachers on here too. So just take a minute to think about it. And we have some people responding that yes, they are struggling.
And then did you know that curriculum can directly impact enrollment and staffing? So with this, a lot of times we think of things separately in the program. So we have curriculum, we have staffing, we have professional development, training, but curriculum really flows through all of that. If you have an appropriate curriculum that's being implemented the right way and your teachers understand the goals and the lessons and how it impacts children and are implementing that curriculum, showing that curriculum off, those activities off to parents, it makes that a little bit more sticky. Parents now understand what's going on in the classroom. They understand the curriculum. They understand the goals that might be, being developed or that the children are the goals that are being set. And I'll give you an example that actually, when I was working for the Office of Early Learning, I was coaching and mentoring a program, and there was a teacher that had started 3 days before I was there and ended up just leaving during lunchtime. And when the director called, and because she never came back, she was just overwhelmed because she was put into a classroom on the 3rd day by herself and given this curriculum that she wasn't familiar with and didn't have time to plan or to lesson plan or without 10 children in the classroom. So that's real life. That's what happens, especially nowadays with the staffing challenges that everyone is having, trying to find good staff and quality staff instead of just a warm body to meet licensing requirements. That really impacts enrollment and staffing. If you don't have continuity of care throughout the year for children, that impacts the quality of the education that you're providing these children, those social emotional relationships that they're trying to develop if you have a revolving door. And a lot of times it's because teachers are not supported in the classroom, and that support oftentimes should come from curriculum. That's what keeps everything together there. So now we're going to open up the chat box again. And I want you to think about a few things. I'm going to kind of read these off to you, but I want you to think about pain points as we go through them. And if you think of anything else, please put it in the chat box, okay? So think about these pain points. Do you have any of these challenges? Are you all experiencing any of these? Or maybe there's something that we didn't list here that you are experiencing that we just left off the list. So for example, if you're a director, an owner, or part of the administration team, what challenges are you facing as leaders of the school? What opportunities are there for training? Is there effective and consistent implementation of your curriculum? Do you see that? Can you walk into every single one of your classrooms and see, okay, the curriculum is being implemented the right way? What about budget impacts? You know, these publishers out there are really, a lot of them are very, very expensive. So are you able to afford the curriculum that you want? And then what resources and materials are out there for you? For teachers, what are the teachers experiencing? Do they have access to proper training and professional development? Is there appropriate time allotted for lesson planning and prepping? And remember, you should be chatting in the chat box, answering either yes, you are experiencing these, or maybe we forgot something off of this list. For parents and families, what are they experiencing? How are daily lessons connected with parents? How have gaps impacted your enrollment? Think about that continuity of care again. Are you having a situation where you're not able to retain teachers? For children, what are they experiencing? Because ultimately that's your client, is the child, right? But in order to be able to support the child, you need all these other support pieces like the teacher and curriculum and families connected to the school and leadership that provides professional development opportunities. In the classroom with varying age groups or abilities, consistency with instruction approach and behavior challenges. So I see that some people are putting in the chat box some answers, and so yeah, mostly staffing, consistency, and retention. And the challenge that we all have is that we didn't get into this to become millionaires, right? We're not in it for the money. So you have to make it worth their time by supporting them, by providing ways to, give them all the tools that they need to make them successful, because you know that you're never going to be able to meet their needs financially. I mean, maybe some of you are able to do that because you have grants or you have some kind of other financial support for your program. But typically, teachers are struggling just as we are. So here, there is no time allotted for lesson planning and prepping. I usually use my personal time at home to do this. Yeah, and that, thank you for sharing, Kimberly. That is, the story of 90% of teachers out there in preschools. I remember being a teacher, and Sunday nights I would sit and watch whatever was on, and I would be lesson planning for that following week or the following 2 weeks. Ronnie, thank you. Yeah, yes to most of them. Let's see, need more opportunities for training, effective engagement of students. Yep. Yeah, thank you. It looks like a lot of you do agree with all of this. So I see that a lot of it is no time for planning, needs for training, some behavior challenges, so time, staffing, behavior, and professional development. And I will address behavior because a lot of times you fix behavior by fixing your teacher-child interactions, and you fix your teacher-child interactions through training and professional development and having the appropriate curriculum that supports your teachers. So it's not necessarily the child's behavior. Usually the child is reacting to something in the environment. Now that's not the case all the time. There are varying degrees of behavior challenges out there, so I'm not minimizing anything that you are that you're experiencing out there, but a lot of times it's because you're one person in a classroom with 12 children and trying to figure it out. And if you don't have those supports and you don't know how to effectively communicate and work with the different children at the different levels at the same time, that's where the challenges come in. And then here, yes to many of these, the paperwork can be overwhelming. Absolutely, thank you. You guys put some really great things in that chat box. Thank you. So now we're going to talk a little bit about some early learning personas. We're going to go into a director's perspective and a teacher's perspective. And again, feel free to comment and add anything that you would like when we introduce you to Cora and Monique. So here, meet Cora. She's a director, constantly pulled in a million directions. The center is understaffed. She covers classes daily. Hiring challenges doubled in the last year. They invested $30,000 in a curriculum last year, and teachers are struggling to understand and implement it. Training and professional development have taken a back seat, and candidates have no experience and require a lot of training. And I know that this is something that a lot of you can relate to. I remember being a director and having a plan. Okay, so today I'm going to go into the infant room and I'm going to do some observations and I'm going to give, Stephanie some pointers on how to interact with these babies a little bit differently. And then boom, 2 people call out sick. Now I have a baby on my hip trying to make lunch and then have to do bus run in an hour and trying to figure it out. And hopefully licensing doesn't walk in that day. So yeah, that happens. So you have every intention to do all these things, but then, it just doesn't go as planned. So now we're going to meet Monique. And so Monique she has a passion for she has a passion for kids. I'm sure she has a passion for her teachers too, but has limited prior experience. It's only her 3rd day on the job with a classroom by herself with 10 2-year-olds, and she was handed a curriculum that she's not familiar with and is expected to deliver lesson plan effectively. And so again, I've also been this teacher where you just need a body. You have to get somebody in there. You had somebody walk out. You don't have a floater. You don't have a substitute. So how do you support this teacher? How do you support them being able to implement the curriculum? Because remember, the child is the ultimate client, the ultimate customer. You want to do what's right for children. And you can't do that if it's a constant revolving door without support. Life happens, so you're going to have a revolving door in certain situations, but is there something out there that you can hand them that anybody off the street would be able to implement effectively and with quality? So now we're going to have another opportunity to discuss some questions and put some information in the chat. So go ahead and look at these 3 questions. What would make curriculum efficient and more user-friendly? How should curriculum improve the quality of your program? And how should curriculum support your teachers? So think about those 3 questions, and if you can start putting your answers in the chat box. I'm just reviewing things that people put in from before, and yeah, it looks like everyone's in the same boat. It's very frustrating. The pandemic really caused a lot of challenges with staffing. So what would make curriculum more efficient and more user-friendly? How should curriculum improve the quality of your program? And how should curriculum support your teachers? So think about that and put that in the chat box. So what would make curriculum efficient and more user-friendly? How should curriculum improve the quality of your program? And how should curriculum support your teachers? Okay, so yeah, examples should be user-friendly. I completely agree with that, because a lot of times we use terms that sometimes are over people's heads and they don't want to ask. It needs to be easy to understand, user-friendly. Let's see, Kathy, curriculum should provide consistency for multiple classes of the same age group. It should provide guidelines for all aspects of each age group. Should give teachers tools for their toolbox, but also flexibility, to adapt in different situations, absolutely. Let's see, less paperwork, positive child to teacher interaction, hands-on, free professional development to improve educational possibilities and easy to understand with practical examples, absolutely. This is, you're hitting the nail right on the head. Again, I have experience with a lot of curriculum that's out there, and sometimes I feel like you have to have a master's degree to just do a lesson plan, because you have to put all these different binders and books and studies and things together with limited time, and that's really hard if, to ask teachers to do that. Curriculum needs to be affordable and accessible. It should focus on being age and developmentally appropriate and have many resources. of support for time to implement. Absolutely. Curriculum could improve quality. Yeah, research-based for early learners, immediately accessible. Yeah, accessibility. So I'm just going back, John, thank you. You wrote curriculum needs to be affordable and accessible. And so one of the things at Learning Beyond Paper that we have received so much great feedback on is not only, you know, our price point that's affordable, it's in our mission statement that our goal is to provide equity in early learning so all children have access to early learning, quality early learning activities. And the accessibility, because we are fully online, it's super user-friendly and easy to use, you know, so we've gotten a lot of great feedback on that. So I just wanted to kind of go back to your comment there. Okay, and so now we're going to talk about, thank you all for taking the time to put those comments in there. But we're going to talk about maximizing potential. So tools and tips and strategies to promote effective curriculum use for the 3 different categories here. And some of them do, you know, cross between the 3. But for directors, for example, you know, identify ways to streamline your approach. So maybe find ways to provide that support to teachers. You know, most of you have to have a staff meeting once a month. So why don't you dedicate 20 minutes or 30 minutes of that staff meeting to curriculum, to implementing, to lesson planning, to pairing up teachers as buddies, kind of learning partners in your staff meetings. Your staff meetings don't always have to be all about who left a Tupperware container in the refrigerator for 2 weeks. That could be in a memo. Don't waste you know, precious time when you're in front of your team on things that can be either emailed to everybody or posted in the staff lounge. You know, this is a time that you can use for training, even if it's just a little 15-minute you know, a snippet there. Support your teachers with curriculum implementation. So again, you know, see if you can work some planning time into the program. I know that's really hard because sometimes with staffing, you are staffed to the minute. But if there is some wiggle room, you know, try to get them some planning time, even if it's during nap time or something. Seek out support from your current curriculum provider. So whoever you're using right now, whether it's you know, something that you purchased or something that was developed by, you know, your company or your school, you want to see what supports they offer. Do they offer webinars? Do they offer professional development? Hopefully it's free, and see what you can offer for those teachers, you know, to get support. And then time-saving tools could dramatically help address your challenges. So see, again, reach out to your curriculum provider and see what kind of tools they have for directors, because directors need just as much as, you know, support as teachers. And then for teachers, one of the big things, especially with Learning Beyond Paper, the feedback that we've gotten from directors is that what they like about our curriculum is that we have open-ended questions and thought-provoking questions right there written out in our daily activities for every single age group from birth through pre-K 4. So if you were to hand that curriculum to somebody on their 3rd day in the classroom by themselves, they can follow those step-by-step, you know, pointers, and the open-ended questions are there for them. And so that's one of the things that really elevates the quality interactions between teacher and child. But if you have a different type of curriculum and maybe that is not available, there are ways that you can help your teachers. My suggestion is to get sentence strips and just write open-ended questions and post them around the classroom. It's almost like a fake it till you make it. You know, if you tell the teacher, this is what we're doing, this is why, you know, asking these thought-provoking questions help children make those connections and elevate their learning, and I'm going to post this around the classroom, the more they see it, the more natural it's going to become and be part of their routine with the children. Some of you in the chat box did write before that you wanted improvement on interactions between children and teachers. And one way to do that, one easy way, is to add those open-ended questions. Optimize the tools, provide free access to training and opportunities for in-service hours, allocate time for lesson planning and prep, create teacher time for reflection. And some accreditation agencies, actually most, require some type of teacher reflection. That's something, again, that maybe start getting into the habit of, whether you're a teacher on this webinar or a director, start having staff reflect on a daily basis on their practice. How did it go? Were the children engaged? Did you have everything that you need? What would you do differently? So after the training, we are going to be offering free professional development. Even if you're not a Learning Beyond Paper user, all of you and your staff members will be able to register for our free professional development. And then the last category is for children and families. So review and optimize communication approach across the center. Some of the curriculum that's out there does, they do offer some way to connect with your parents, but see what they have and what you can use. Host a curriculum night. So specifically, not just a parent-teacher conference or open house, call it a curriculum night. It elevates that, your program. It elevates curriculum to the forefront. Show off your children's work, walk families through your curriculum approach, explain the why behind lessons and activities. And then share ways to extend the learning at home. Because again, a lot of parents, they don't know, they don't understand how to communicate with children. A lot of times they come in, they ask a 3-year-old, what did you do today? And the child says, play. And then a week later, they're enrolling somewhere else because all you do is play. And the people down the street are doing math, and they don't understand that children learn through play, right? So, you have to work with your families, teach them what to ask their children, and then be able to highlight your curriculum that way.
Great, thanks, Laura. I'm going to share an example of a teacher and a class that is using Learning Beyond curriculum, but I wanted to show this example because it's going to provide you with how Learning Beyond Paper supports its teachers and students in real time. And so this is an outside lesson. It's always great to extend your classroom to outside when you can. And so this is a lesson on subitizing. So these children are looking at the squares that are written in chalk here on the cement, and they all have a subset of numbers in them. And so the goal here is for children to look at a particular subset of numbers and recognize it without actually having to count out the dots. So we're going to take a look at this activity.
The teacher calls on a child and asks them to identify the number of dots in a square. The child must subitize to select and jump to the correct square. The teacher can refer to the learning support area to differentiate instruction. If a child is unable to subitize, the teacher can help the child count the number of dots in the squares. Once the child identifies the quantity, the teacher can ask the question, "How do you know?" to get them to count the dots. If a child is struggling, start with 1 dot and build from there. This is a perfect example of how standards and developmental domains are integrated throughout the day in Learning Beyond curriculum. Although this is a physical development activity, it also incorporates mathematical concepts. The teacher calls.
There we go. All right, so in summary, I know we had some really great think moments and some really great responses. And I really do want you to think, in summary, when you think about curriculum and you think about your teachers and your children and your families, you want to remember that curriculum should support your teachers throughout their day, through every part of their day, all of their routines. Again, teachers are in the classroom for 6 hours with, a large amount of responsibility. You really want to make sure that that curriculum is supporting them throughout that entire day. It should also create stronger connections with families, and it should provide high quality early learning experiences for children. That's most important. And the next thing, I'm going to switch over here is, this is a really great visual, and I think one of the participants even put it through the chat. I want you to think of curriculum like the glue that holds everything together, because your curriculum affects your entire business. It touches your management team, it touches your leads, your assistants, your floaters, it touches your children, your parents, it touches your prospects, it's on your website. It's really, you know, the glue that's going to hold your entire business together. So you really need to think, you know, after this webinar, go back and look at your curriculum and just take a walk through your school and look at it in the lens of curriculum, and just look and think about some of the things that we talked about today, and what are some things that we could do to improve our curriculum at our own school. Okay, questions. Any questions? We're going to open it up into that chat box again. Again, we've had such profound statements being written through here, and just a lot of people being able to just share some of their pain points with curriculum. So we really appreciate that feedback. Looking to see if we have any questions. Oops, I see a message. Does the curriculum link to communication apps centers use to update parents on the days and events? Learning Beyond Paper has at-home connections, and that's available for your parents. They're weekly newsletters, and they'll give your parents an update on all of our areas of development and what our lessons taught. They're downloadable, so we do have some providers that upload them into Daily Communications, a Bright Wheels, a ProCare, Engage, and send those home to parents through that mechanism. Are there any special funding or grants for teachers to purchase curriculums or materials? Through our partnership with the NCCA and NEPCA, we are offering a special price point, so we can share that information at the end here. If you are interested in hearing more about the curriculum, we are going to give you that opportunity here at the end. To be able to take a demo and hang out with us for a little bit and learn a little bit more about our curriculum. Okay, I'm going to click on.
There's one more question, Ronnie. Does this program incorporate state standards?
You want to take it?
Yeah. So we are aligned with the state early learning and developmental standards. So yeah, when you go into the curriculum, you can see the crosswalks and the alignments.
Okay, great. Yeah, great question. And if you do want to learn more about Learning Beyond Paper, we're going to put this URL link in the chat box, so you can go to that website and you can fill out that form, that information, and one of our educational advisors will reach out to you and talk through what's going on at your school, at your center, more things that you might want to learn about Learning Beyond Paper, and also talk with you about the special membership pricing. Okay. It's time for the prize wheel. So exciting. Okay, friends, let's make sure that you're listening. So everybody, if you're multitasking, really listen here. Laura's going to ask 4 questions that she covered throughout the duration of the webinar. The first participant to submit the correct answer is going to have a spin at the wheel. Again, we're doing $25 gift cards. We're doing 1 month free access to Learning Beyond Paper. We're doing the grand prize of that 10-inch tablet with 1 month free access to Learning Beyond Paper. So Laura, are you ready?
All right, I'm ready. Okay. So question number 1, which accreditation agency did we reference in regards to curriculum? So,
Ronnie. Wow. All right, Ronnie was the first. All right,
spin that wheel.
Go ahead, here we go. We're gonna spin that wheel. Woo! 1 month, it's right there. It's definitely on the orange. So you received a 1 month free subscription to Learning Beyond Paper. That'll give you access to all 52 weeks of our curriculum for all 5 age groups. And of course, we will reach out and be in touch with you, Ronnie. Deb is also our moderator here that some of you have been communicating with. So if you could grab Ronnie's email, that would be great, so we can touch base with him and get him his prize. All right, second question.
Second question is, name one country other than the US where Learning Beyond Paper is used. Oh,
Adam.
No, that was
Melissa.
Woo, you guys are fast.
Melissa.
All right, Melissa, here we go.
Spin, spin, spin.
Learning Beyond Paper gift set. All right, congratulations. And we'll get that mailed out to you, Melissa. So again, Deb is in there and she'll ask you for your email so we can touch base with you. Super exciting. All right, I think we're on question number 3.
Okay.
Come on, somebody needs to win that tablet.
Question number 3. How should curriculum support teachers?
I'm just spinning, but we need an answer.
How should curriculum? Yep.
Easy to
Heather.
use, definitely.
Easy to use. Oh, training.
Adam,
Sorry.
no, Adam.
Adam.
Sorry, Heather, great job.
Adam Parker,
Adam.
training. All right, I'm gonna go for the spin. Come on, tablet. A $25 Lakeshore gift card. Hey, that's pretty exciting. Love Lakeshore. Great job, Adam. All right, we have
Okay,
one
so
more
here's the last question. Come on, everybody. All right, you're going to fill in the blank. Curriculum is the blank that holds everything together.
Oh, Diana.
Diana.
Oh
Okay.
my goodness, wait, that was fast.
I've never seen the word glue come through so fast.
Diana, congratulations.
Is it Diana?
Diane Gardner.
Or is it
Diana.
Diana? Okay, Diana.
Okay, here we
All
go.
right.
Tablet.
Here we go. Come
Tablet.
on, tablet. Come on, tablet. Come on, tablet. Woo! 1 free month to Learning Beyond Paper. So a free month. So we'll make sure that we get your email address as well. And I think, is that our last question?
That's it. I'm
Okay, last
sorry.
question. Well, as Laura shared with you, she does do professional development webinars, and sometimes we include our prize wheel. So there could be another opportunity for you to win some of these great prizes, and an opportunity to win that 10-inch tablet. So we want to thank everybody so much for your time. I hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about Laura and myself and Learning Beyond Paper and our mission and our goal.
Yeah,
Well, thank you so much for an awesome presentation today, Corinne and Laura, and Deborah for manning the chat. You're an excellent team, and we're so excited to be partnering with you. Like you said, our missions are so aligned, and success for our teachers means success for children, and that helps fulfill everything that we're in this for. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to give us a shout, email us, and we'll connect you directly with the Learning Beyond group. We'll be posting all their information, including this webinar, on our website. All attendees will also get that certificate of attendance. And if you have additional questions here, please go to learningbeyondpaper.com/NCCA-NECPA. And if there's nothing additional, I think we'll give you 10 minutes back in your day. And thank you all so much for attending.
Yes, I want to ditto that. I did see a question come up pretty at the last minute in the chat about funding for teachers and how to get it. And the first place to start with questions about funding and any kind of grants is to go back to your lead licensing agency and ask those questions. They are not, you can also contact Child Care Aware in your state, which is typically affiliated with the resource and referral individuals. So I Again, Child Care Aware of America, their website can help give you information about your state and who to talk to, because there are many things out there that people are not aware of.
Perfect. Thank you, Cindy. And great summary, Deborah. Really appreciate it. Look forward to talking with everybody soon and be on the lookout for our next Wednesday webinar. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Have a great day. Thank you.